Welcome back to The Explainer. I am your host, your lead strategist, and today you are stepping in to the diagnostic clinic. We're rolling up our sleeves and diving into the exact reasons why so many students absolutely hemorrhage easy marks on the Cambridge Computer Science and IT exams, specifically looking at the 9626 syllabus. But honestly, this applies right across the board, whether you're taking 0417, 0478, 2210, or 9618. Today, we are focusing laser-tight on syllabus section 1.3, uses of encryption, the protection of data, and systems encryption. Year after year, the examiner reports come out and we see the exact same symptoms. It's like Groundhog Day. Let's imagine two completely typical candidates taking this exact past paper. First up, we have Alex. Now, Alex works hard, right? But Alex overloads his answers with raw, memorized computer science facts about encryption, throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks, but provides absolutely zero contextual analysis. Then, on the other hand, we have Sam. Sam looks at the clock, panics, completely rushes the exam, utterly misses the command word requirements, and just bleeds marks on formatting. Both of these students are failing to hit those top-tier grade boundaries, and their papers are coming back absolutely covered in red ink. Well, today we are going to fix that. We are going to diagnose the symptoms of a failing answer, and we are going to prescribe the exact cure. This explainer is going to systematically walk you through the frameworks you need to absolutely master the 1.3 uses of encryption topic. Here is our treatment plan for today. First, we'll look at the core encryption principles. Number 2, the systematic processing methodology. Number 3, top examiner warnings. And finally, number 4, the critical analysis strategy. Let's jump right in. Okay, moving into section 1, the symptoms and core principles. Let's build our foundation here and figure out what the examiners are actually begging you to write. Now, what's really fascinating about this slide is it highlights the exact literal pain point where candidates fail to demonstrate a connected conceptual understanding. Seriously, why is it so hard to apply encryption concepts when the scenario changes? The answer lies entirely in how you study. If you just sit there with flashcards and memorize the textbook definitions of what symmetric and asymmetric encryption are, you probably feel pretty prepared, right? You walk into the exam room thinking you've got this. But then the exam throws you a completely unfamiliar, weird context. Say they ask you to secure a proprietary corporate database for a hospital versus protecting a specific communication protocol for a massive global bank. Suddenly, that memorized definition just completely falls apart. Candidates find it incredibly difficult because they lack the logical, structured reasoning required to bridge that gap between the pure theory and the actual messy, real-world application. So the crucial takeaway here is that the Cambridge Assessment Framework strictly, and I mean strictly, prioritizes logical, structured reasoning and analytical depth over just memorizing a massive breadth of facts. This right here is exactly where our imaginary student Alex goes totally off the rails. Alex provides superficial breadth. He's in the exam writing down every single encryption protocol known to man, listing off bits and bytes, but he never once links it to the specific scenario in the question. The Cambridge assessment objectives explicitly reward analytical depth. You literally need to show exactly why a specific use of encryption protects that specific system's data, and you have to draw on evidence-based reasoning to back it up. We do not want an answer that is a mile wide and an inch deep. We want a focused, analytical laser beam. Before we move on to the actual framework that solves this, subscribe to our YouTube channel Ace the Exams at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Click that subscribe button and hit the bell icon right now. It makes a huge difference and ensures you get all our strategy drops. All right, let's look at section 2, the prescription and methodology. This is where we learn how to actually fix the structural flaws in your writing. To fix these symptoms, we absolutely must utilize the method mark strategy where marks are awarded for demonstrating a systematic analytical process. We are going to transform those red pen marks into green check marks right now. This slide brilliantly illustrates the standardized 5-step procedural sequence you must use to systematically process any encryption data. Think of this as your computer science success blueprint. Now, to make this super actionable, we map this directly onto the PEAL framework. Point, evidence, explanation, link. Step 1 is your point. Identify the key elements from the text. Step 2 is your evidence. Apply the relevant encryption principles. Step 3 is your explanation. Execute your analysis with clear logical working. And steps 4 and 5 are your link. Verify your results and present it in the appropriate format. It's a total game changer because you aren't just desperately regurgitating facts anymore. You're following a strict sequence that practically forces the examiner to give you the marks that candidates like Sam routinely leave on the table because they were rushing. When you are tackling those brutal, complex past paper questions, you must follow this pipeline. Deconstruct the prompt, extract the relevant data, select your analytical framework, execute with clear notation, and present using correct terminology. Let's do a quick interactive workshop right now. Challenge 1, data scan. I want you to imagine a really complex computer science data table on the screen right now showing network vulnerabilities. Imagine a 60-second timer ticking down. Go. First, you have to deconstruct the command word. Is the question asking you to describe? Is it asking you to evaluate or explain? Those mean very different things. Then, you extract the core trend from that complex table. Next, select the framework, in our case today, your encryption principles. Then, execute your answer logically. And finally, present it professionally. Boom, time's up. This exact pipeline is what guarantees you are meeting the strict requirements of the Cambridge syllabus for data interpretation. Okay, let's transition into Section 3, Preventative Care and Examiner Warnings. We're going to look at exclusive insights pulled directly from the principal examiner reports. Stop scrolling, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. We've helped thousands of students improve by 2 to 3 grade boundaries. Join them right now by subscribing to at acetheexams_IGCSE and turn on all notifications so you never miss our weekly exam strategy sessions. All right, back to the clinic. The examiners actually tell us exactly what goes wrong every single year, and it all boils down to these consistent, completely avoidable errors. The top 3 mistakes that will absolutely tank your grade are providing vague answers, poor formatting, and failing to apply the knowledge to the specific context. Let's do challenge 2, find the flaw. I'm going to read a flawed sample computer science paragraph, and I want you to spot the mistake. Ready? Encryption is used to keep data safe so hackers can't read it. What's the flaw? Think about it. Well, it's point number 1. It's way, way too vague. The examiner commentary on answers like this is brutal. They want specific details. How is it protecting the data? Is it scrambling the plain text into ciphertext using a specific cryptographic key? You have to say that. Furthermore, if the question asked for a technical report format and you just scribble down a bulleted list, you trigger mistake number 2. And if the question is specifically about a hospital's patient database, but you just start rambling about generic banking examples, you've hit mistake number 3. Remember, context is literally everything. Now, what's really interesting about this next slide is the massive red flag raised by the principal examiner reports. Candidates consistently confuse terminology. I'm talking about mixing up symmetric and asymmetric or jumbling up public and private keys. To secure those top marks, your action item is to always define your terms before using them in an extended response. If you are discussing public and private keys in a systems encryption question, don't just throw the words around hoping they magically land in the right order. Define the term clearly right out of the gate. This incredibly simple action proves your connected conceptual understanding to the examiner immediately. It builds trust, and it sets a rock-solid foundation for your analytical depth. So how do we actually avoid these pitfalls when the clock is ticking and the pressure is on? You use a memory hack called the visual story method to securely encode these complex 1.3 uses of encryption concepts. It's actually amazing how human memory works under stress. During a high-stakes exam, a ticking clock can cause your brain to freeze. You get vague, and you start confusing that key terminology we just talked about. But by creating a vivid visual story in your mind, for example, picturing a massive heavy steel vault as your main system, a complex glowing digital lock as the encryption algorithm, and a unique specific keycard as your decryption key, you encode the information so much more robustly. This ensures that when you desperately need to recall the exact specific details, your brain has a reliable, structured path to access that information, completely bypassing the panic. Let's move to Section 4, Critical Analysis and Evaluation. Let's see how all of this builds into the final strategy for evaluating evidence exactly like a top-scoring candidate. This is the big one. This table breaks down the essential deconstruct, solve, evaluate model required to systematically solve problems and make evidence-based, justified recommendations. This right here is the difference between an average grade and absolute mastery. In the deconstruct phase, you identify the given information and break it into logical steps. In the solve phase, you execute systematically with your clear working, and you actually pause to check if your answer is reasonable. Finally, in the evaluate phase, you make those justified recommendations. Let's do challenge 3 right now, speed writing. Imagine a 30-second timer on the screen. If you were speed writing a response to a 6-mark encryption question right now, you would use this exact 3-step table as the skeleton to construct one perfect Peel paragraph. Point and evidence in deconstruct and solve, explanation and link in evaluate. It is a foolproof system. So the crucial point for this final hurdle is that to show true evaluative thinking, to get those absolute top marks, you must question assumptions, consider different perspectives, and identify the limitations of the evidence. Top-scoring candidates do not just accept an exam scenario at face value. If a prompt suggests a certain encryption method is 100% foolproof, a top candidate will critically evaluate the quality of that evidence. They will point out the limitations. Maybe the processing overhead is just way too high for the specific hardware mentioned in the prompt, or maybe there's a massive glaring assumption about the end user's actual ability to manage the private keys securely. Explore alternative interpretations, and they clearly, explicitly state how these factors affect the final conclusion. This, my friends, is the absolute pinnacle of analytical depth. All right, we have reached the end of our session at the clinic. We've diagnosed the issues holding you back, and we've given you the methodological cure. Let's do a quick cheat sheet recap. You now have the 3 rules that guarantee top marks. Number 1, command word decoding. Number 2, Peel framework application. And number 3, the time management matrix of deconstruct, solve, and evaluate. Students who implement these computer science strategies see an average improvement of 2 grade boundaries, but only if they practice consistently with our weekly explainer drops. Here's your final reminder. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams at acetheexams_IGSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Subscribe right now to acetheexams_IGSE and click that bell. Don't let another exam pass you by. Drop a comment below with your target grade for computer science and the biggest challenge you're facing right now. Our team responds to every single comment. Like and share this explainer with a study partner who needs to see this. Ace the Exams. Your Cambridge success starts here. I'll see you next time.